So now YouTube is almost like passive income. Obviously, you're working pretty hard to build YouTube videos. You're working all day, but some of your older videos are still paying you today.
Yeah.
What are some other things that people can do right now to start generating passive income, kind of like what you're doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it passive at all. In the very beginning, I probably would have said it was more passive income because when I first started making videos, I was like, well, if every video makes $1 a day and I make 500 videos, it's $500 a day.
So YouTube is not passive. So we'll ignore YouTube as a passive income because I get it. I'm working hard to make YouTube videos.
I'm just, I've yet to see what happens if I don't post for like, let's say a year. Do those videos still get recommended or do they get buried with everyone else making current content and staying up to date? So like maybe.
I mean, you take 1 week off and already you start to see you feel it.
Yeah, the true passive income sources for me right now would be the rental properties. I would say they're probably 90% passive. There's some aspects of it where, because I manage most of them myself still, and so there's some aspect of just like making sure.
Why do you manage it yourself? And they're in California.
Yeah, I should, but I've had those tenants forever. Like, basically all of my tenants have been with me for at least like 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
They pay on time. So I feel weird bringing someone else in when all I really have to do is just, if they need something, they just text me and then I will just text a plumber or something like that. Like I have everyone basically on a speed dial and they know who to contact too. So like if something breaks, they call this plumber. Or if something, they need some electrical work, they call this guy. And then those people just say like, hey, went out to the property, it's this much, good to fix. Property manager would do something similar anyway. So I was like,
how many units are we talking about?
Is it like 10?
10 units. Okay, so that, I mean, that's still quite a bit, man, to be managing yourself. So kudos to you for.
Thanks.
Do any of your tenants say, "Oh, Graham Stephan is my landlord"? So I don't know. Just
no, I don't think, because a lot of those tenants I've had before YouTube.
Okay.
So I don't think they know. Maybe they do, and they've just not said anything. Yeah. I think one tenant for sure knows, but I think they found out afterwards. But they're really nice. No, I've never gotten in a situation. Knock on wood.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So what are the other ways that someone can start generating passive income?
I like stocks and dividends. I think there's something to be said about just the ease of buying a good qualified dividend. That it's simple and anyone could do it, and you could do it with like if you have $100. It's just that getting that first little bit is so much fun.
Yeah.
Even if you're only getting like a 2% dividend. Doesn't matter. It's like just knowing that you invest 100, you get $2 a year, totally passively for doing whatever. That to me, I think gets people hooked. It's just like, ooh, getting passive income, even at 2%.
So you just take that money now and you can now either use it to live your life or reinvest it.
Right.
I'm assuming you're reinvesting it. That way you can keep building the fund bigger and bigger.
Right. But I don't know. Besides that, everything else that I see people doing just requires a lot of upfront work. So it just depends on what the level of involvement is. YouTube channel, I think I could count it as a bit of passive income just because, like you said, if you believe there will be a residual income as long as you stay monetized. So that is possible, but it takes so much work. Like usually, I think if people go to YouTube for passive income, they're probably better off just working any job and investing that money instead.
Yeah.
Like anything, even a minimum wage job will probably pay you more money than YouTube in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you have to really enjoy YouTube to stick with it.
Yeah.
And I never recommend doing YouTube for the money because I see so many people do that and they get like hyper fixated and it's not working and it should be a fun passive thing until it gets to that point.
So where else are you investing your money then? Because you're making $6 million, you're running the YouTube channel pretty lean. So where else are you putting that money?
Stocks, cryptocurrency. If a good real estate deal comes up, I'd go for that, and different startups that I've invested in. So that's I think startups make right now about 10% of my portfolio total, and some of that growth is seen over the last year.
Yeah,
but there's been a few companies that I've been like an angel investor in, or I've gotten like one of the first few rounds, and I've enjoyed that. It's cool to kind of be a part of their team. I'm not really on the team, but it's just I've enjoyed that aspect of it.
Wow. So how many hours are you putting in a day or a week on YouTube then? Because you're pumping out good content all the time.
That's a lot. Probably 12 hours a day. Probably 12 hours a day. Probably 6 days a week on average. I would usually say it's about 12 hours. Sometimes it could be 14. Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, I'll usually take either one full day off or two half days.
Wow, because I know, I mean, your schedule is busy. Like we're recording this at 6:30 in the morning,
right?
Because that was the only other time that we had, and we were recording the other day, and you were recording till almost like 11 p.m.
Yeah, I did
the day before. So it's like, I mean, you're always working.
Yeah. But I love it. It's to some people, I'm sure it sounds like a horrible schedule, and I just want to relax, which is fine. I really, really, really like it, and if I don't do anything, I don't know, I just get sad. it's odd for me where I like always having something to work on.
Yeah,
and it was tough for me too, even on weekends, because my girlfriend lives with me, and she's not like that. Like she's not in the mindset where it's like always got to be on.
Yeah,
I remember it was really tough for me sometimes to wake up, especially in the early days when we first met. I felt like uneasy to sit and watch a movie because in my mind I was thinking, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing this.
Yeah.
I gotta paint the front door, like that's I could be doing this chores. It's like I was always like, when I do those things, I feel better.
Yeah,
you're
productive, right? It's the hustler mindset. You always feel like you got to be doing, and it gets hard now when you have a significant other and you're trying to balance that. So how do you balance that relationship with YouTube then?
It's really difficult, and right now I think that we both accepted that there's not an equal balance. That I'm definitely, I think it's just there's a position or a window of opportunity right now that I don't want to hold back from because I don't know how long it's going to last, and and I love it. Like I wouldn't be me if I didn't have that creative outlet and that drive to like really push on that. So I think we've just accepted that there's not a balance right now. I can't see myself keeping the same schedule forever. Mm-hmm. So there'll be a point where I want to scale back, but I think it's just going to happen naturally. And I've always just kind of left it up to like, when the time is right, it's just going to feel right. And I've always just based on, everything I've done, just a gut level feeling of just like, this is the right choice. And every single time I've had that feeling or that intuition that pulls me somewhere, I've followed it. It never led me the wrong way. And I just trust that, if I have a feeling of something, I'll pursue it.
And she supports you along the way.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big key component to make sure that can work.
Yeah.
Now, you're a big also credit card guy. We were talking about real estate and how you need a good credit score in order to go out and start investing in real estate. What can somebody do right now to get a perfect score, whether it be to get some rental properties or whatever it might be? What is the best way for someone to do that right now?
So I would say you got to get a secured credit card first if you don't have any other history.
What is that?
It's just put down a deposit and they give you a credit line that's equal to that. So let's say you put down a $300 deposit, they'll give you back a $300 credit line. Oh. Easy as that, very easy. And then all you do is put like a minor expense on the card, anything that you would ordinarily spend anyway. Maybe Chipotle, maybe gas.
Get some extra guac.
Get the extra guac if you could afford it.
If you can, yeah,
if
true.
you could afford it.
If you can
it's
afford
expensive.
it. That's the key.
Yeah. But just anything like that, and just pay it off in full. Even for the people who just like really like using debit cards, that's fine. Just get in the habit of putting one expense on the card a month and just pay it off. Just something, $5, doesn't matter. Do that for 6 months, sometimes 8 months. And you can also do that twice. You can get a Discover It secured card, or I think there's like a Capital One secured card that's really good. Just as long as there's no annual fee on it. Get them both at the same time. It doesn't matter. Do the same thing with both for 8 months. Probably build up a good enough credit score to get a Bank of America cash rewards card. This is one of the easiest ones to get. Do the same thing on that. There's a whole bunch of no annual fee credit cards that you could get. Small things on it. Get like, I think in the beginning I went crazy. I got like 5 credit cards, basically like back to back to back that were no annual fee, just so I could get as much credit history as possible. After about a year, you should be good enough, maybe sometimes a year and a half, where you should have a good enough credit score to pass most banks.
Interesting. So now you start building up your get these credit cards. Is that all you got to do then? Or just like, what if I have previous credit card debt? Is that important to pay that off first? Or
generally, it's always a good idea just because the interest rate's so high on that. Now, some people would say, well, I got a $10,000 balance, but it's 0% interest rate for 18 months. And then I think, well, as long as you're sure you could pay it off after the 18 months, as long as you don't get 18 months and then like, oh, now I got to pay it off because the interest rate goes to 20%.
Yeah.
As long as you could pay it off in full before you pay any interest. I don't think you should ever pay interest on a credit card. It's the worst thing you could do. But the best thing to do, honestly, is talk to a lender. And I got some of the best advice from lenders, like bank lenders. And what I've done is I've given them all my financials, and they'll go through it and they'll say, okay, you got to get your credit score up to a 760 to get our best rate. You need to, your car lease is too expensive. Because you spend $300 a month in this lease, we're able to qualify you for less. If you get rid of the lease and you buy a car in cash instead, we'll be able to give you $300 a month more. That's an extra $40,000 you can get on your loan. If you do this, if you show a little bit more income here, we could give you a more loan. It's like they'll go through everything for you and literally tell you what you need to do to qualify for the loan that you want to get.
Interesting.
That's what I always did.
If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. These are things that you can start doing even if you don't have a lot of money. So if you want to read this free guide on how to start generating passive income for free, all you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.